G'day, Rob Paxavanis here from the Fishing Australia TV series. Today I'm going to show you some of my favourite lures for blue water and reef fishing from the Atomic range. And I'm going to delve into my personal kit here that I use all over Australia. Now this kit here, I've picked out lures from the Atomic range, and I know that if I'm going out in my kayak, on the jet ski with the boys, or a mate calls me and wants to go in his boat and I need to grab these and go and be covered for every type of fish that's out there, or whether I'm filming locally or interstate, these two kits here are my personal kits and they keep me covered. There's that one there. I'm going to start with this bigger kit here. The first lure in the Atomic range I'm going to show you is this baby here, the Drag Star. This is the big daddy in the range. Now these are high-speed trolling lures. We're talking about catching species, for example, down south, like your kingfish, your southern bluefin tuna. As the water gets warmer, your Samson fish, and of course as the water gets really warm, your mahi-mahi, your wahoo, your Spanish mackerel, cobia, all those big pelagic species that fight hard and give us all that big buzz that we like when we go offshore. Have a close look at this lure. Look at the amount of teeth marks from your things like your Spanish mackerel, cobia, wahoo. Even big coral trout have smashed that when I troll near the reef. What is this lure all about? It's a high-speed trolling lure. It's designed to cover ground. Okay, it'll handle a lot of rate of knots, and it means when you're seeing patches of birds, you can troll around until you find which patch has the big fish on it. If you're going from reef or pinnacle to pinnacle, looking for those active schools of mackerel or kingfish, this is a sort of lure that means you can cover ground and always have a lure in the water. So a great searching lure. Comes in two sizes. Let's have a look here. Your 130 with a smaller bib, which is your mid, and then your deep with a bigger bib, the 130. Then you step up to your big daddies, your deep and your double deep. Have a look at the gauge of the hooks. They're really good for big strong fish, which means you have to replace them less often, and of course you don't lose those big monsters. Really strong construction, and once again that's just smashed a phenomenal amount of fish you will have seen on the Fishing Australia TV series, and I use them personally as well, of course, as I mentioned earlier. So a great lure, the Atomic Drag Star. Any of those big fish that live out in that water, you're going to catch them on this. I'll pop that away because there's an even more favourite lure in my books when it comes to versatility, and that is these guys here. Let's have a look. These are known as the semi-hards. If you have a look here, semi-hards Vib. Okay, now this one's the 110. It's the largest one in the range. Okay, but you go all the way down to smaller ones as you go down through there. Now, this kit here, I've got a range of sizes from your 110 all the way down to your 40, and I use that all over Australia. 50 species and counting now of fish that I've caught on them. So the way it works basically is they come with standard trebles for using your lighter gauge tackle. So for example, down south you're going to smash, they've proven, just absolute proven performers on snapper and flatties and all those popular fish down south that you want to catch. As you move up to bigger fish around heavier cover when you want to drag them out, I beef up the trebles. Okay, so that's a treble 14. You can get a treble 16, which is even heavier again from Gamakatsu. So I beef up the trebles. When I want to drag big fish out of heavy cover, you're talking your big coral trout up north, your nanagai, small and largemouth, your big mangrove jacks on the reef, and even your red emperor. These lures are a sinking lure. The action on them is basically they drop down and they swim on the drop, and when you lift them they vibrate, this beautiful fine natural vibration, and there's something about it that drives a fish crazy. I mean, they're proven to be a phenomenon on your threadfin salmon species and your barra and that up north, but slowly over the years I've used them on southern species and a bigger variety of fish. Not only can you drop them deep in deeper spots because they're quite heavy and they sink quite well, and just jig them straight over fish, but you can cast them out in shallower water, like your sort of 20-metre mark, for example, for snapper, and hop them back over the bottom and catch your other species as well. But you can also cast them for surface fish, and you can also troll them. So extremely versatile. There isn't many popular fish that I haven't caught on these guys here. Once again, the semi-hards, Vib. Some people pronounce it vibe, but it's spelled V-I-B. Okay. Now, he's got a cousin which is designed for shallower water or closer to the surface presentations. It's the Minnow. It's got the same soft body, which means the fish, if they miss it, they'll come back. That one's just hooked up there. Okay, so it's soft like that. It's got the wire through again, so you're going to land all those big fish. The wire runs all the way through. Okay, but it's made for more, you know, casting at, say, tuna up on the top. It's got a beautiful action on the drop. It doesn't sink deep like the Vib does for around the reef, but it's great when the tuna are fussy and they're just looking for that wounded bait fish. You can also walk the dog, so it'll pulse through the water like that, and you can also burn it across the top in a surface style presentation as well. Cast like a bullet, and again, depending on the size of tackle that I'm using, it comes with a lighter hook standard, but sometimes I beef up with those heavier hooks, and you can see how I've got a few of those in my kit there. If you've got toothy species, okay, you've also got the Atomic Hards with a Z on the end, okay, the Metals range. Very similar to the Soft Vib in terms of the way you use it. Just reiterating on that, you can jig them deep, cast them out, hop them back, or burn them across the top if need be, but the fish don't chop them up because it's got a hard body. Okay, my preference, I do use the Soft Vibes a lot more, or the Soft Vib I should say, a lot more, but these guys are handy too when you've got, you know, fish with sharp teeth like tailor or mackerel, etc., that are going to chop up the soft guys a bit more often. So there's that kit there and that kit there. Now I tell you what, I can catch pretty much everything in that, but if you're on a bit more of a budget and you want to know about a good soft plastic, you can't go past the Plazo range from Atomic. Once again, I've got a few in my essential kit here. Okay, I mainly got the 7-inch jerk minnow. That's caught quite a few fish. I just leave the jig head on that one, but I've got a few spare jig heads here, which I'll take you through in a minute. You've got different sizes all the way down to quite small ones. A 5's another popular size I use offshore, the 5-inch. A huge variety of colours. That's just a few there. Okay, there's more in the range. And you use them in a similar way that you use a Soft Vib, and that is, you know, you can jig them deep. In shallow water, you can hop them across the bottom, and you can also burn them across the top. They will catch a massive variety of species, the Plazos. Okay, and the other one in the range that I'm very fond of, and a lot of people are, that's the Prong. Okay, that's the 4-inch model there, the 4-inch Plazo Prong. It's quite clearly a prawn imitation. Those tails wiggle really well when the fish get up close, so that's a strike trigger as well. So beautiful lures there, and great way to get into lure fishing on a budget. Quality soft plastics, they hold their shape, they last a long time, they don't sort of get deformed or start melting into each other. They're a beautiful soft plastic. The one thing I am going to say is about the jig head that you use on them. Atomic, as you can see here, make a massive range of jig heads. Have a look at all these guys here. Just put them back up. Okay, so I like the Seekers. It's my favourite in the Atomic range, and they come right up to your 2-ounce jobs there. Okay, which are great when you've got deeper water and heavier current. But you know, I'm often using around the 1/2 ounce and the 1 ounce range. What is it about the Seekers jig head that I like? Well, for a start, the range is so big that you can pick the gauge and strength of the hook that you like. They're Gamakatsu hooks, so you know you can't go wrong there. And you pick the size, gauge to match the type of tackle you're using and the type of fish you're targeting. This special system here is like a vacuum lock, and what it does is when you push your plastic on, it creates a vacuum in there and sucks it on really well, so that doesn't pull off anywhere near as easy as it would on your standard type jig head. Importantly, the jig head has a curve into it there, like a concave curve there, and what that does, it makes it glide on the drop, which is very, very important, because when you're imitating a prawn or a fish hopping up off the bottom, you want it to glide on the way down. That's often when you get the hit, and that shape underneath there has been specially designed to make it glide. The other thing that shape underneath there does is it makes it sit like that on the bottom. So if you want to let it sit on the bottom like that, it doesn't tip over nearly as easy. Much better than a standard jig head, for example, a round jig head. So that Seekers jig head, absolutely dynamite. Well, there you go. The Dragstar, the Semi-Hards Vib, his cousin, the Minnow, the Metals, your Plazo there in the Jerk Minnow, and of course your Atomic Prong on the Seeker's Jig Head. Yeah, I'd happily travel with that all around the country. You can view more of them, that's not the whole range. You can view more at atomiclures.com.au. I'm going to pack up all this and get out fishing, but if you look these up, talk to your local tackle shop, see what they've got in stock, they can order in what you need, and rest assured, you will not be disappointed.